This was going off really hard, and then I tweeted this. This was like 5 minutes ago. Wait a second, how is this not getting nuked out of orbit on League subreddit? Well, my post, which was way more mild in approach, got instantly looked and deleted. Like, the words are so harsh, pathetic, tragic. They mention Freak by name in the title. They mention Freak multiple times, despite Freak getting like a lot of death threats and stuff. I purposefully avoided every single specific term, and mine got blocked at like 100 likes. This hit front page, man. You're supposed to be removed because rant posts and sub stories are not allowed. No way, man. I'm sorry, whoever Porky, man, I'm sorry. Remember there was a high-level thread about how Freak was going to save the balance team. Now he's being scapegoated for every single decision to point. No, that's not the point. The point is, it's not even Freak's fault in most of these. Like, who knows what he does in the background? I don't know how their company is structured in the background, how they work with these. What does the balance team consist of? Like, who has the final say? Who actually does things? Like, I have no fucking clue. I'm not gonna pretend to know those things. Like, I only criticize the one thing that's very, very worthy of criticism, which is the style of approach. That's the biggest issue. Freak is a spokesperson. Maybe he does a great job. He does a brilliant job in the background. There's nothing I can do there. There's a golden rule in game dev that players generally know how something makes them feel, but not why or how. True. This is very, very often true, which is why we need people to talk about like exactly what they feel like, you know? The fact that Katarina mains feel like CC, prevention and damage reduction, would help out their champion is a right feeling, but a terrible design choice if they want to implement like black monkey blacking bar, like CC immunity, Olaf ult, whatever. You know, it's a terrible idea, but it's a correct feeling that the game devs need to take in and discern how do we make them feel better about that. Because that's what it's all about. It's customer satisfaction. Like a bronze player who has no game design degree can give you a very, very good insight in the champion's health if you know how to discern information. He might give you some very, very useful stuff to work with. I'm not a Vel'Koz main. I've never seen better communication and cooperation within mains community, especially when it comes to their civilized way of discussing. Yes, precisely. I would love to commend Vel'Koz community for basically not being degenerates, talking in a very, very chill manner. If you read Vel'Koz main subreddit, it's like reading a bunch of hopeful kindergarten kids, you know, like not knowing how terrible the world can be, and they're just like typing like a super positive way, which is the correct way to type, right? That's the way you actually get the feedback across. Like you can't be a degen about it. You know, they're also just a bunch of nice people who are extremely passionate. They share a passion about a character which they believe is the best champion design in this game, and they all just have very, very interesting feelings about, regardless whether of those are going to be like good suggestions. I've seen like some bad suggestions in my opinion. I've seen some good opinions about game design. I don't even want them to do the exact thing I want them to do. I want to be surprised at the end of the day. I just want them to get the feeling across. I just want them to understand the sentiment that we're doing. And even then, like as a game dev, you have full freedom not to do it. You have full freedom not to engage with the community. But where I draw the line is you saying the community sucks, you're not giving us anything to work with, and then spit on the community despite us doing everything. That's where I draw the line. You can be like, whatever, we're gonna design this full blind, okay? I don't want to see any social media engagement, and we're gonna do characters top down, like dictator style. Fair enough. Like, it's your game, it's my choice to play it. The issue is where you're condescendingly talking to the entire community about not providing useful feedback, where that's all we've been doing. And it's just mildly insulting, you know? Right, just keep showing that the only feedback they respond to is massive backlash and death threats. Yeah, it's such a bad precedent to set. Like, I'm 100% certain they're doing that inadvertently. It's not like they're doing that on purpose. But if you refuse to engage with positive comments and you respond to negative comments, you are passively feeding the loop of negative backlash. And that's just not a good principle, which is why, like, that's the golden rule of basically any sort of business, is do not engage and cut off, like, negativity at the start and promote positive behavior. Even in psychology studies, punishing negative behavior works way less than actually rewarding positive behavior. In dog training, that's the case. That's not true. Freak was literally just giving examples of bad feedback and good feedback. Literally mentions a series of experimental issues given by players. Way more useful than just saying Vel'Koz sucks. Even if the good feedback is there, it can still be straight up wrong, like the E fizzles after that, which wasn't wrong. And the fact that they make changes that the community asks not to, it's irrelevant. I agree, but it shows not taking into feedback or choosing deliberately to ignore it and showing that you don't understand what the champion problem is. The core of Vel'Koz issue, the fucking core that lies in the heart of Vel'Koz that's problematic, is that it's very difficult to discern when a Vel'Koz is 5-0 or 0-5. That is the core of the character. Not lack of damage, not being weak. He's just low of impact. And people don't understand that for some reason. I'm repeating this for years and years and years. I'm talking about video game impact, about game impact. Like, how many games can you sway with your good performance or bad performance? A bad Vel'Koz player easily gets carried because he just presses ult, he does a pretty good chunk of his base damage because base damage on Vel'Koz is very high. He scales very well with levels, he doesn't require items. That's why Vel'Koz support works in the first place, because he has high base damages. That's the issue. You're not rewarding Vel'Koz who wins, nor you're punishing Vel'Koz who loses. And I proposed a bunch of changes, a series of changes that are just examples of how to achieve that, because Riot specifically said they don't know how to do it. And I try to be productive. There's literally a demonstration in the practice tool that E's cast Vel'Koz fires away, he doesn't go. Yep. There's definitely something now. That is the point. You can't claim something everyone is wrong without seeing this.
Actually, here's experiential problems I have with Vel'Koz. And speaking of one, I want to bring up this idea that his E fizzles while he's dead. This isn't true.
That there's something finicky happening with the character. It might even be technically true that if his animation doesn't complete 100%, that his ability doesn't fly out. That might be 100% true. But if the indicator will appear, that the ability will appear, and your character is still doing the fucking animation and the ability doesn't go off, it's a very, very deceptive and poor design, which requires more clarity. That might be one of the reasons why Vel'Koz players are being very triggered by Vel'Koz E and have been demanding change for years. I completely agree with your last part. There will be consensus among Vel'Koz mates to buff E, either decrease the delay or increase the AoE or increase the knock-up duration. Somehow Riot missed that and only saw Vel'Koz sucks. See, that's one tiny bit of an issue. That's one tiny bit of an issue, which also wouldn't have been a problem. I'm telling you, when I saw the buff, I'm like, totally as I expected. I'm super happy this happened. Good. Now we move on and we cancel the strike. That was my initial reaction. I said that. The issue arises when he says, it's your fault, Vel'Koz mains.
I don't really enjoy the asinine comments from Vel'Koz mains who don't know how their own champion works because they're wrong. If you can give good, valid, valuable feedback, we can talk about the things that feel bad about Vel'Koz.
We need to give meaningful feedback, chat. It's your fault, Vel'Koz mains. You gave no feedback. The E works like any other ability with Freaks. I just tested in practice tools. See, another person who solved it in like 2 seconds. Did you read that post by Azzapp? Most of the changes were aimed at making Vel much harder to play in favor. It wouldn't be much harder. Like, what are you talking about? It's just about impact. It's about shuffling impact. If you take away like 10% of the damage on Q and add 20% on recast or add execution or add that would make your Q more difficult to land. It's not gonna be like your champion is now much harder to play. It's the same exact champion. It's just disproportionate reward. You would get rewarded for this a bit more than this. You would be able to capitalize on kills a bit more than that. Which means if you get people over the threshold of a kill, means you recall with extra 300, which would permit you to snowball, actually. And you would feel the distinction between 0-5 and 5-0 Vel'Koz. It wouldn't make him harder to play. That's a change that might suit high elo Vel'Koz mains. Are you telling me a bronze Vel'Koz player will not feel good if he lands a max range Q and gets rewarded for it? Is that what you're telling me? Like, are you seriously so dense to consider that like low elo Vel'Koz players never land those abilities? They don't land long range stuff? I don't want to be rude here, but like, is that what you're implying? That nobody, like, I've coached more Vel'Koz players than any person in the world. I've seen the low velo gameplay, and I know what should get, I mean, I think I have a very good reasoning of what should get rewarded when I see them play something really extraordinarily well, and they land incredible stuff, but they don't get rewarded for it. Adam Freak is good at balance, but thank fuck he doesn't take feedback from OTP communities. No gamer champ should be balanced on what OTPs say. They should take bug feedbacks and nothing more. They should take their feelings into consideration, especially if they say they want to take them. Like, there are two options. You say you want feedback or you don't want feedback. Both are perfectly viable. Your company, your style of design, your style of balancing. Say you want to get feedback, say you don't want to get feedback. If you do say you want to get feedback, you cannot complain that there's no feedback when there's tons of feedback and call everyone dumb. That's the issue. What makes an OTP player better than design? I don't know Vel'Koz guy in particular, but I know gaming communities and having commented people will very often make suggestions how to improve their favorite character out of self-interest. I agree, which is why you should take it all with a grain of salt. And whenever somebody says something, you should also investigate their selfish, self-centered fucking reasonings that might exist. I'm not an impartial actor character here. But I'm trying to remove my bias as much as possible and try to look at this as a game design figure instead of like a... I'm trying to imagine if I'm a Riot person here instead of me. I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to see, okay, what is the problem? What is the issue with Vel'Koz? Why are people frustrated about this character? Why it sucks currently? And that's why I did the whole analysis. And then I proposed a bunch of changes that could do that. And like, I didn't do changes so you can like, oh, he wants all of these changes now because then his champion is going to be big and his channel is going to blow up. And now he's going to be like the king of Twitch and YouTube and everything. Like, no, that was not the point. If you guys actually read the Azzapp changes, make Vel'Koz slightly weaker early and for that give him 50... Wait, what? 50,000 mega buffs. They actually took that I want those changes, all of them. Now, on my desk tomorrow morning, I want those changes. As if they're not just propositions to portray the theme that needs to be taken into account.